Welcome to Saturday Showcase, presented by 5 Hour Energy. Coleman Coliseum, Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and the SEC opener for both the Crimson Tide and the visitors from Lexington. You are watching the SEC on ESPN. John Calipari, Avery Johnson in his 4th year as head coach here in Tuscaloosa, a series that has been dominated by Kentucky all time. This is the 150th meeting. The Wildcats have won 112 of the first 149, including the last 10 in a row. In fact, the last time that Alabama beat Kentucky was 6 long years ago in January of 2013. Here's Avery Johnson on what Alabama needs to do to win this game.
Well, a couple of keys to this game today. First of all, we think our spacing on offense is going to be a major key so Kentucky won't be able to pack it in. And if we have great spacing, then we're going to take care of the ball and we won't have as many turnovers. So that's the first key, is spacing so that we can limit our turnovers and take care of the ball. The second key is getting back in transition defense and limiting their baskets in transition by getting our defense set. And I just think the third major key is the rebound. Who wins the rebound game? We got to limit their offensive rebounds, and not only their offensive rebounds, but their offensive rebound attempts.
The thoughts from Avery Johnson, who's going to be mic'd up for us during the game today, as will Jay Billis. We're going to try something new here today. Well, you heard Coach Johnson. What do you think about this game?
I would echo exactly what Avery Johnson said. I think rebounding is going to be the most important thing in the game, and the battle begins when the shot goes up. It can't be just one guy for Alabama rebounding. He's got to be all 5 guys on the defensive end, and then the matchup among the point guards. Ashton Hagans, the freshman point guard from Kentucky, has changed this Kentucky team. His ball pressure is going to be critical, and then Kyra Lewis Jr., the freshman guard from Alabama, has to handle that pressure and thrive under the pressure.
Doug Shows, Chuck Jones, Brian Shea are officials, and we are underway today with the ball in the hands of the point guard you were talking about, Kyra Lewis Jr., just 17 years of age. As you mentioned, a great matchup at the point. Bama comes in having won 4 in a row. And how many programs have had a better couple of weeks than Kentucky has had, with a neutral court win over North Carolina, then a road victory at Louisville? Good ball movement in the finish for Dante Hall.
With the ball moved from side to side, and then Dazon Ingram, who's in the starting lineup because of his defense and his rebounding, was able to put the ball on the floor. He's a lefty, drives right, goes behind his back, and draws P.J. Washington, and that allowed Dante Hall to slip behind him. Anytime you help up, you are going to give up a bucket. They not only gave up a bucket, but a foul as well.
Dante Hall had a good game last year at Rupp Arena, although a game won by Kentucky. A look at the starting 5 for the Wildcats. Tyler Hero coming off the big game, a season-high 24 against Louisville last week.
Dazon Ingram guarding Tyler Hero. Hero had a great game against Louisville, not just offensively, but his defense was fantastic in that game.
This is a big boy matchup down low today, isn't it, between Dante Hall and Reed Travis, and a bucket for Travis.
Well, Hall is an outstanding shot blocker, but Reed Travis plays low, and he gets into the body of Dante Hall, and it's hard to block a shot on the ball, much easier off the ball.
Another touch for Hall down low. Draws the double team. Tevin Mack, the transfer from Texas, will give it up. Ingram with a drive, can't finish.
Looked like he got fouled. Boy, that was a good ball fake by Tevin Mack. You can move the defense without dribbling.
Hagans over the top, Travis the save, but then out of bounds, back to Alabama.
Take a look at Reed Travis, the grad transfer from Stanford, 2 times all Pac-12. He does a great job of getting the ball down low, and then he just gets right into the body of Dante Hall, knocks him back, and is able to move him back and go right over the top. That was an excellent post-up by Travis. Good cut.
Beautiful cut there by Lewis, and a terrific feed from Herbert Jones.
Boy, Lewis just got that little rub screen up top, and if you don't jump to the ball and take away the ball side of the cut, it's awfully difficult to defend.
Lewis a guy as Travis, nice 2-man game. Johnson to Travis to tie it up again.
Just an open side. That's really pretty basketball by Kentucky.
Boy, when big men run the floor, good things happen, and Dante Hall is running the floor.
Well, it's a big guy running the floor, Dan, but it's also getting the ball out of bounds and running it up, not just walking it up after you take it out of the net.
You think Alabama wants to play as quickly as Kentucky generally likes to play?
I think they want to beat the defense down the floor. They don't want to play 5-on-5 in the half court. I think transition is an important factor for Alabama in this game as well.
Nice follow there by P.J. Washington off his own miss. Sometimes in these noon games, teams come out a little bit cold. That's not the case here today.
A 1-2-2 three-quarter court pressure to slow the advance. And how impressive is Kyra Lewis Jr., the freshman point guard? He's just 17 years old. Good rebound.
Ingram got his miss, had it knocked away, saved it though. Good hustle play. Mack with a shot fake and a left-handed lay-in, and Alabama back on top.
Boy, usually in past years with Kentucky, you drive like that, you are going to have to face a shot blocker at the rim. And Reed Travis and P.J. Washington can block shots, but they're not big-time shot blockers.
Best shot blocker for Kentucky, Nick Richards, who comes off the bench but hasn't been playing a whole lot of minutes recently, the sophomore. Travis asks for a clear out, one-on-one with Hall again. A little bit short.
But good defense by Hall, making him shoot over. Took away the middle, made it difficult.
Mack for three.
Tevin Mack, the transfer from Texas. Boy, he came off that little exchange firing. You are never going to be more open than on the catch. And he came off ready to shoot and made Kentucky take the shot away from him. They didn't do it.
And a fun environment here in Tuscaloosa, in spite of the fact that class is not yet back in session. And obviously, there's a football game in the minds of folks in these parts now. And some people have already left Alabama to head out to Santa Clara. Bucket there for Johnson to make it a three-point game.
No class. Why don't you call me sometime when you have no class?
11-8, the Crimson Tide leading. They're 9-3 on the season. Kentucky 10-2, ranked 13th in the nation right now. Long two, a little bit short for Lewis. Good deep position by Travis. He got set up before Hall got back.
Well, you got to meet him at the free throw line and deny that position. And back is Alabama quickly. It's like watching the old Celtics. You score on them, and they're laying it up on the other end. You can't jog back against Alabama. That's been proven twice now for Kentucky.
And Avery Johnson up off his seat, clapping his hands, liking the pace and the execution in the early going for the Tide.
I think he likes the competitive spirit as well. His team came out ready for a fight.
Tyler Hero with a corner three to tie it again. The freshman from Milwaukee, as we mentioned, a great game last week against Louisville. He's starting to find the range.
He's just getting better and better, and he's not just a shooter. He can put it on the deck.
Mack with the answer at the other end, and they're trading buckets in the early going. What a start for Tevin Mack.
Tevin Mack committed to VCU under Shaka Smart, then wound up at Texas, transferred out. And he's a difference maker for Alabama.
Higgins with a chance for a three-point play as he lays it in and draws the foul to take us to the first media timeout. And what a way to get started here this afternoon.
Well, Ashton Higgins has been a gigantic difference maker for this Kentucky team because of his defense. Had 8 steals against North Carolina in that great win, but starting to attack on the offensive end as well. Terrific drive by the freshman.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by 5-Hour Energy Shots. Get back to 100%.
Tevin Mack has gotten off to a torrid start in this game. He's got 8 points very early on. 2 of 2 from 3, 3 of 3 overall. Got to the bucket and then knocked down 2 threes because he's ready to shoot. And it all starts out with stretching, doesn't it, Dan?
Pre-game preparation, early game. Want to get the tightness out, want to get ready to play. So the Alabama players getting stretched out, getting loosened up before the game. But it's not just the players who need a little extra time getting ready. Mr. Billis needed that hamstring stretched out a little bit. And you know what, Jay? It's paid off. I think you've had a great 5 minutes so far.
Well, when you're an athlete, Dan, you've got to get stretched and ready to play. And I'm ready to play. If you don't want to be an athlete, if you don't come serious for your job and ready to perform,
that's fair.
I don't know what to say.
That's fair. Well, only one of us has a personal trainer we bring on the road to help us get ready for these games. I was a little concerned you couldn't get that right leg. Didn't look like you had complete mobility in that leg.
Well, they didn't show it all. We've got a game to show. It's not all about me,
and
just mostly about me.
And how about this start? 16-16. Both teams shooting exceedingly well, especially Tevin Mack, who's into double figures already. The two teams have combined for 9 assists and only 1 turnover. There have only been 2 fouls called in the first 5.5 minutes. High-level offensive basketball so far.
Right, Herbert Jones taking on Reed Travis inside right now, and Jones is an excellent defender, even though he is not nearly as big or as physically strong as Reed Travis. There aren't many better defenders in the country than Herbert Jones.
Jones heads to the bench right now. Alex Reese has checked into the game for Alabama. Off the bench after the last timeout for Kentucky is Nick Richards and Emmanuel Quickly. And Riley Norris is in the game, a redshirt senior from Albertville, Alabama, a guy who underwent a cardiac ablation, a heart procedure, several weeks ago. The second time in his life he's had to undergo that procedure. It helps alleviate an abnormal heartbeat. Missed a few weeks, but back under no restrictions and has been terrific, Jay, the last couple of games for Alabama.
This is a lineup for Alabama that can really stretch the floor because you got 4 outstanding shooters to go around Dazon Ingram. And Ingram tried to drive to the basket, but with Nick Richards in there, he's a shot eraser. A lot different driving when Richards is in the ball game than when Washington and Travis are in.
Double team, and Richards finds Travis.
Anytime you double team, you have to drop down and rotate and pick up that opposite big.
John Petty with one of the great hairdos in college basketball into the game for Alabama. Runner by Reese not there. And down for the rebound is Quickly.
Even though Richards away from the basket, he was able to change that shot. Didn't block it, but his presence and his length changed it.
There's John Petty Jr. You can get stretched out pregame all you want. You're not coming up with that. You're not entering the game with that, Mr. Billis.
With the hair?
Yeah.
No, the jealousy, it's hard for me to put into words.
Tevin Mack gets a nice ovation as he sits down. 11 points already.
His aggressiveness offensively has been the most impressive thing. I mean, he's ready to shoot. He catches it to shoot, at least in this game. And you're never going to be more open than you are on the catch. So you have to take advantage of it.
Hagans and Quickly both in the game together right now for Kentucky. Hagans the kick. Washington the corner 3, not there.
Boy, got away with that. Galen Smith came off a corner shooter.
Norris thought about it. So Ingram running the point right now for Alabama with Lewis on the bench.
Good fake. Riley Norris can really shoot the ball.
Reese driving baseline. They got to get a shot off soon. Petty was standing out of bounds when he caught the pass. John Calipari told us pregame this is one of these games where you really find out about yourself. Conference opener, on the road, noon start. Yeah, he's feeling really good about the improvement his team has made in the last couple of weeks, but this is another good test for them.
Well, he said his team is becoming a player-led team. And so he doesn't really have to coach effort right now. He gets to coach basketball, and they're talking better. Everything's better. This is one reason why. Ashton Hagans is doing a great job at the point for Kentucky. He had his breakout, Dan, on the defensive end. We talked about that last week at Louisville. Most players have their breakout. They want their breakout to be on offense. He had his breakout game defensively.
Reese with a line drive 3 to put Alabama back on top. As you can see, what Hagans has done the last 5 games, and when Jay talks about the breakout game defensively, he's talking about 8 steals in the win over North Carolina. Hero can't turn the corner on Petty. Tough fadeaway doesn't go. Richards with an offensive rebound.
Well, Richards has played well in his short minutes. And he's had a bit of an ankle problem. He didn't practice for a couple days, just practiced yesterday.
Hagans gets by one defender, kicks it back out. Washington is wide open. Tipped by Richards, and they get another possession out of it. Quickly lines up a 3 and knocks it down.
Now, Emmanuel Quickly turned down the first open shot he had there Ashton Hagen's able to get it back to him, and he was ready to shoot the second time. He's got to be ready to shoot every time. It's been a little bit of an adjustment for Emmanuel quickly with Ashton Hagen's taking over. They play a little bit differently when he's in, but he is a good player and only going to get better.
Norris misses the three, and here comes Hero in transition.
Boy, it's nice when you got a guy like Hero that can rip and run.
Followed by Richards, can't get it to go. Boy, missed opportunity there. Both Hero and Richards looked like they had a pretty good shot at it.
Richards has been active. He didn't get that one, but he was right there.
And a call going against Alabama. Well, as we mentioned, there's another game on the minds of folks here in the Tuscaloosa area. We'll have a preview of the national championship when we come back.
Give the ball to Damian Harris. That'll win it for you.
Clemson and Alabama once again meeting for a championship.
Tagovailoa looking deep in the end zone.
Lawrence lofts it up.
Touchdown! The national championship, Monday on ESPN.
Fourth year in a row they meet in the playoff. Third time in 4 years they meet in the national championship. The two dominant programs, Jay, in recent years in college football. We'll get to see it again Monday night.
It is really incredible what both Clemson and Alabama have accomplished, but I would say even more so Alabama in the 12 years that Nick Saban has been in Tuscaloosa. Just a remarkable achievement. And I keep seeing this stat, and I can't believe it. I think it's since 2015, the last 4 years, either Alabama or Clemson have won 11. It was a 10 of 11?
10 of 11.
10 of the 11 games played in the college football playoff. The only one not won by those two has been the win by Georgia over Oklahoma last year. That's remarkable. So it's almost hard to believe.
We'll see it again Monday night. Meanwhile, here at Coleman Coliseum, the officials have been looking at a shot by Tevin Mack that was ruled a 3. And they're trying to decide whether it should remain a 3.
It's a 3.
It looks like a 3, yeah.
It's a 3 from every angle. We've looked at every angle.
Yeah.
It's a 3. I was wondering why this was taking so long with the collaborative replay that the SEC has that they're using for this.
And Brian Shea, one of the officials, confirming to us that they've decided it is a 3. And it looks like you can see a fair bit of space there between his toes and the line. So Tevin Mack with a game-high 11. It is 23-22 Kentucky.
And this has been a well-played, fun game. And most every bucket, I've had a couple in transition, but almost every bucket has been assisted.
Yeah.
I mean, the ball's moving on both ends of the floor. One thing that Alabama needs to do, they've got to do a better job of keeping the ball out of the paint, not allowing any straight line drives. Because right now they're not really contesting passes.
Johnson off a screen. Kentucky leads by 3.
Well, that was really well done by Keldon Johnson. The timing of coming off that screen was excellent. And he used the screen, he set his man up, went slow to fast. That's the way you use a screen.
Our first look today at Avery Johnson Jr., number 5 in white. That was him with the ball, swung it into the corner to Norris. Johnson, a fifth-year senior, started off his collegiate career at Texas A&M. Shot clock down to 3. Norris puts it up. And Travis the rebound for Kentucky.
A heck of a block out by Emmanuel quickly on Dante Hall. You think a little guard can't box out a big guy. Emmanuel quickly just proved that to be totally wrong. Got low, got right into his legs, and kept him from getting an offensive board.
Got a couple of great names on this team, don't they, with Hero and Quickly, as Travis knocks down a 15-footer.
Yeah, it's lucky it's not a big slow guy called Quickly. That would be a tough existence.
Lewis with a pull-up off the back of the iron, and no second opportunities right now for Alabama. And Avery Johnson, as we heard off the top, very concerned with a rebounding battle today. Alabama's been a good rebounding team so far this year. Kentucky's been a great rebounding team.
Well, Kentucky third in the nation in offensive rebound percentage. They get 41% of their own misses. I think anytime you get Reed Travis out on the perimeter, you have to drive that matchup.
There's a ball screen from Hall. Again, Alabama deep into the shot clock. Johnson, no. And Keldon Johnson down with the rebound for UK.
John Petty guarding Reed Travis, and Travis wants the ball reversed so he can post. Now they were able to switch back where Dante Hall's got him. That's really on the point guard guy bringing the ball up to recognize that and see if he can take advantage of it.
A travel called on quickly. And Tevin Mack among those who will return right now for Alabama. The Crimson Tide, we mentioned they are 9-3 on the season. They've won 4 in a row. They've beaten the likes of Arizona, Penn State. Their losses include Northeastern. Then they lost on the road at UCF, picked to win their conference this year. And they lost here to Georgia State in a game they were up like 20, 22 points and let a lead slip away.
Yeah, that was the one that really hurt. They did not defend very well. And in most games that I watched from Alabama, I watched a fair amount of tape on them. They've had some lulls at different points of the game. Happened against Arizona. They were up double digits. And Arizona actually had a lead until late in the ball game.
Boy, look at Lewis go. Look at that. Rolls off the back of the rim. Looked like it was going in. The 17-year-old terrific in transition. Johnson with a jump stop, and a foul is called. It'll be a block against the Crimson Tide.
Well, Kyra Lewis on the other end. He's got to finish that. There was a little extra frosting on it, and that led to a breakout for Kentucky, and Keldon Johnson taking advantage of it, getting to the free throw line.
USC fans, this is the moment you truly all been waiting for.
Chris Cotter and Seth Greenberg in studio. Michigan State at Ohio State. Coach, Buckeyes giving them a game here. Here's Dwayne Washington Jr.
Ohio State's got as good a chemistry as any team in the Big Ten, but when you play Michigan State, the key word is get back. Great job, Washington, obviously with the collision with Nick Ward, but a nice job of getting back on defense.
Both players okay. Ohio State up 3, guys.
Thank you. Big game of the Big Ten. Big game here in the SEC. Avery Johnson, kind enough to be wired for sound today.
Hey, we both have point guards that should be in high school. Isn't that crazy? Come on! Come on, defense! Yeah! Yeah! Oh! Hey, 10-4 on the boards. Come on. Hey, good job. That was good.
One of the most recognizable voices in the sport, that's for sure. A guy who had a couple of great years at Southern back in his playing days, led the NCAA in assists twice. Then went on, of course, to the NBA. Bounced around for a while. Eventually, Jay found a home in San Antonio, won an NBA championship there. Played for a long time under Greg Popovich, obviously, and now in his 4th year coaching the Tide.
Had his number retired, his number 6 in San Antonio. Just an amazing leader and point guard as a player, and really just as an amazing leader as a coach. You'd be honored to have your son play for a man like Avery Johnson. His impact goes far beyond X's and O's. But right now, his team needs to have an impact on the glass. They're getting rebounded 15-5 in this one.
And again, that was one of the things that Avery Johnson talked about. He was very concerned about Kentucky being able to run it up on the glass and really dominate on the glass. There's his son, Avery Johnson Jr., 5th-year senior, backup point guard for Alabama. Jones with a strong drive.
Well, that's the second time when Nick Richards is out of the ball game. He's not a starter, but that Alabama has been able to drive it. Tevin Mack did a little bit earlier. Herbert Jones right off the inbound. And you can see the difference in the ease of getting to the rim and finishing when Nick Richards is not in the ball game, and how difficult it was for Alabama when he was.
Boy, Keldon Johnson squares up nicely, knocks down the 18-footer.
Well, he's a top 10 pick. I mean, he's a terrific player and never seems to force anything. Everything's always within the flow of the game, and he can play on both ends of the court. Keldon Johnson, we saw him come off a screen earlier in the game. Did a really nice job being prepared. Here he comes off a little screen for the screener action. He screened for Reed Travis, then he got a screen. And as you're saying, he squares himself up as the ball is in the air. His shot preparation is very, very good.
It's a breather now. Jamal Baker is into the game for Kentucky, a guy who missed all of last year in the first 8 games of this year after knee surgery and then kind of some persistent swelling that cost him the early games of this season.
Kyra Lewis doing a nice job on Tyler Hero. And Another walk, just going too fast. A few turnovers for Kentucky, but they haven't really been live ball turnovers. At least they're able to play 5-on-5 on the other end and not allow Alabama to play ahead of their defense.
And a little coaching from the bench in game here from John Calipari to his freshman point guard Ashton Hagans.
You hear a lot about turnovers, but there's a difference in turnovers. When you have these live ball turnovers and you can take them the other way and play against a defense that is not set or play ahead of the defense, those are the incredibly valuable turnovers because that's defense turning quickly into offense. Can't defend a run out.
Hagans with a runner, left it short. Travis got knocked down. It's 5-on-4. Alabama going the other way. And Hall with nobody helping out Travis near the rim.
A lot of people might think that was a foul on Dazon Ingram, but those were two guys going after the ball. So the referee's saying, well, that's incidental contact. There's incidental contact can be violent contact. That's just rebounding. And it goes the other way in a terrific pass to Dante Hall on the finish. Herbert Jones bringing it down. Not a hand up, able to survey the situation. Dante Hall, watch your head, young fella.
What a sports day here on ESPN. Got the NFL wildcard game coming up later on this afternoon. And then tonight, Saturday Showcase presented by 5-Hour Energy. It'll be the Clemson Tigers at Cameron to take on the #1 ranked team in the nation, the Duke Blue Devils. The last Tigers win in Durham, Jay, was 24 years ago. But Brad Brownell has a good team and an old team, too. Guys who have been there before.
Was Rick Barnes there 24 years ago?
Yeah, probably. Should be a good one. ACC, as always, is going to be incredibly entertaining and tough at the top. And you can say the same for the SEC. How good is Auburn? How good is Tennessee? Mississippi State's very good. This is a tough league.
It is a really tough league. LSU, undervalued as a team. They've got some outstanding players led by Tremont Waters, who leads the SEC in steals. Naz Reid, excellent freshman.
And you don't play everybody. There are too many teams to have a balanced schedule. As Max having himself a half. Kentucky plays Auburn, Tennessee, and Mississippi State twice apiece. They've got a very difficult league schedule.
Well, I'm certain the other coaches in the league feel sorry for John Calipari.
Tied at 29 here in Tuscaloosa.
Alabama doing a nice job of driving the ball and moving the ball from side to side. That's really what opened things up for Tevin Mack on that last shot. Great rebound.
Yep, you said it.
You said it too. Look at you giving credit to the other guy.
Mack again. What a start for him, and Alabama's got the lead. 17 first half points, including 5 for 5 from three-point range.
And Dante Hall almost took that ball the other way, jumping out in the passing lane against Reed Travis.
Washington inside, fends off a defender and draws the foul.
Well, Avery Johnson asking, what about that off arm? That's an offensive foul, but Tevin Mack transferred in from Texas. He was a Longhorn, and now he is long range and knocking down shot after shot against the Kentucky Wildcats. 17 points in the first half for Tevin Mack.
Dodge halftime report, 3 minutes and 48 seconds away. Chris Cotter, LaFonso Wells, Coach Greenberg in studio. Got highlights of Michigan State and Ohio State. That's a good one. North Carolina, not a good one. We'll show you what the Heels are doing anyways. Preview.
Why are you saying it's not a good one?
Because it's like a 30-point game. And we got a good one here between Alabama and Kentucky.
Yeah, Tevin Mack's been brilliant. The entire first half, 17 points in the first half for that young man.
When I think of this Kentucky defense, they got to be up to guard the three, and they've gotten stuck a little bit offensively in the half court, Kentucky.
Dan, Jay, we'll see you guys at the half.
All right, Chris, thank you. Looking forward to it. It has been a good one. Looks like Fonz coach got the giggles a little bit back in the studio right now. Good thing Chris Cotter's there to keep him in line.
Well, I could never compare to Seth Greenberg with his amazing coaching career, but I would think that any coach would want to get the ball to Tevin Mack right now. He has been brilliant. And this Kentucky team has struggled at times to guard the three. I think in this game the problem has been guarding the ball, which has led to open threes. Most of the overwhelming majority hit by Tevin Mack. Tevin Mack 5 of 5 from three-point range. Alabama overall 6 of 9.
17 points for Mack. His season high is 20. His career high came at Texas, and it was 27 as Washington knocks down the free throws. How good was P.J. Washington in the win over Louisville last week?
You know, he had 8 points, 7 rebounds, something like that, but he was outstanding in his defense on Jordan Nwora. And Jordan Nwora is really, really good. Bad pass. There's a little screen for the screener action.
Boy, and Travis let it go as if he thought it would be Kentucky ball, which is the ruling. Looked to me like it was deflected by a Kentucky defender. This should be Alabama ball. Off Hero and out of bounds. Should be Alabama ball.
Yep.
But Travis was playing it as if he expected it to be Kentucky ball as well, and they're going to leave it for the Wildcats. This is not reviewable. They can talk about it, but they can't review it at the monitor, and that's a break for Kentucky.
Yeah, that's a tough one for Alabama. No question that it was touched. Good pass.
Good block, John Petty.
And Dante Hall right there. He read it, was right under the basket to challenge.
Mack is wide open, and he knocks down another one. 20 first half points for Tevin Mack.
Job number one has to be to find Tevin Mack in transition no matter what happens on the other end. He's beyond hot.
Hero with the answer at the other end. It's a long 2 to bring the Wildcats within 2.
Boy, how about that dude? He is not just catch and shoot. That was terrific.
Lewis driving, spinning, and off the rim down to Washington. Good pace. Higgins, and nobody stops the ball, and it may cost them 3.
Well, that's the problem. When Kyra Lewis takes it all the way, somebody has to rotate back. And he sort of took himself out of the play. And Tevin Mack's got to go in there and just stop the ball. You hate to leave a three-point shooter and leave somebody under the basket, but if you don't stop the ball, they're not passing it anyway. They're just going to lay that thing in. And Lewis behind the play and trying to stop it, winds up compounding the mistake by fouling.
He picks up his second. He's the first player on either side with 2 fouls today.
Higgins shoots about 75% from the free throw line, and he is just blossoming this year. It sort of reminds you a little bit, we mentioned this last week when Kentucky played Louisville, but it reminds you a little bit of how Shai Gilgeous-Alexander broke out last year, and I don't think that Higgins is anywhere near the offensive player that Gilgeous-Alexander was and is. But boy, it certainly reminds you of how Gilgeous-Alexander broke out last year and took over.
Airmailed by Ingram, and on the Alabama side, they're very different kinds of point guards, but Colin Sexton, phenomenal freshman last year, first-round pick by Cleveland, and now Lewis, a freshman just 17 years of age, extraordinarily talented as well.
Very talented. Not quite the scorer that Colin Sexton was, but this young man's got a great future ahead of him. His present's pretty darn good time. He's averaging 15 a game, leading a team in scoring.
And a foul called on Reese, trying to reach around Travis.
Looked like he was able to break contact. He probably had his right arm around Travis. I don't know. That was, when the referee makes the call from behind you, it always looks like a foul. And usually they get you for the off arm.
7th foul, 1-1, but Travis misses the front end. Petty is open. Petty gets it back, and a foul.
A little bit more fight on the offensive glass from Alabama. John Calipari looking at his team saying, hey, you got to get in there and need some blue shirts on the defensive glass.
John Petty, a guy who can really shoot it, struggling a little bit at times this year, made an Alabama freshman record 90 three-point buckets a year ago.
One thing that John Petty has been dealing with is opponents know that the thing he does best is catch and shoot, but he's slight of build, and what they're really trying to do is be physical with him. And I think the next step for John Petty is going to be to improve his body, get stronger so he can better accept the physical challenge. He's really going to need to put in, honestly, extra work not just the work that's required, but the extra work that makes a good player into a great player, and work on his ball skills a little bit more, because he's got a lot of talent. He's a good player.
Good one here, number 13, Kentucky in Tuscaloosa, tied at 36 late in the first half.
You really want to take Tevin Mack out of the game on the offensive end. Got to make him guard. If I were Kentucky, I'd start going right at him.
Keldon Johnson, no good rebound by Petty. Look at this, pretty impressive stuff as Alabama turns it over. The last 21 games against a ranked opponent, all of this coming under Avery Johnson. They are 11-10 after losing 21 in a row prior to Avery Johnson taking over.
Ashton Hagans is really affecting this game. You know, just in transition, missed one, probably should have made it, should have finished it, and then he winds up getting the ball back here just because of his outstanding pressure on the ball against Dazon Ingram.
And
that
Ingram,
was really good defense. Just really good.
Avery Johnson Jr. comes in. Remember, all of this started after Lewis picked up his second foul. So now Ingram goes to the bench and Johnson is in.
Sometimes you can take for granted how easy things seem when you've got a point guard that you have no questions about bringing the ball up. Bringing the ball up is not easy.
And another Alabama foul. Reaching in was Mack. First on Mack.
Minute to go in the first half. And Kentucky only 3 team fouls. That means they can give one up. Not to let Alabama have anything easy or get off a 3.
Well, if we grade out Alabama based on what Avery Johnson said pregame, he said they got to win the rebounding battle. They're not. He doesn't want to put Kentucky on the line, and he wants to get to the line. They're not winning that battle either. And he talked about spacing to get good looks. So would you give them a 1 out of 3 so far in those 3 keys that Johnson had?
Well, if you want to make it an all or nothing grade, yeah, they get 1 out of 3. But I think they've been a little more competitive on the glass over the last 10 minutes. And their spacing has been good, and they've shared the ball very well. They get an A+ in Tevin Mack.
Yes.
They've definitely done well there.
Avery was funny earlier today talking about every now and again he laces up the old high tops and he likes to get out there with the kids. He said sometimes it's more about demonstration than telestration, and he played the game and he said you don't want to use that every day. You don't want to always say, hey, when I played, but every now and again he gets out there with it.
You just hope it's not about an Achilles. Oh,
Dante Hall.
Boy, and that drives John Calipari crazy. Yeah, Nick Richards into the ball game. If he goes to block a shot, there's got to be a rotation, because that's where his strength can be a weakness. But nobody boxed out, and they didn't box out one of the better offensive rebounders in the SEC in Dante Hall. Alabama, unless they give up an offensive board, is going to get the ball back.
Keldon Johnson, and another Crimson Tide foul, and this one not a popular call.
Looked like Petty got it, and you can't foul when you've got Dante Hall back there to block or challenge a shot. Yeah, you got to be a little bit more disciplined. Petty left the floor first, got him with the body, and took away the ability of Dante Hall to block or change that shot such that it would be missed. And Keldon Johnson's a good player, isn't he? Top 10 in scoring in the SEC, top 5 in field goal percentage.
Great motor, too. Great competitive streak.
And he plays over 31 minutes a game. He hardly ever comes out. Never changes his expression out on the floor.
Down to by 2. Last shot of the half belongs to Alabama. Johnson almost turned it over, and they're not going to get that shot off.
They won't get it off because of Ashton Hagans. His defense is game-changing. He's actually changed this whole Kentucky team with his defense and stability at the point.
2-point lead for the Wildcats in a very fun first half here at Coleman Coliseum. Let's go back to the studio along with Seth Greenberg and LaFonso Ellis. Here's Chris Cotter.
Thank you, Dick.
Welcome back to Saturday Showcase, presented by 5-Hour Energy. You're watching the SEC on ESPN. What a great way to get conference play started in the SEC. What a good first half between Kentucky and Alabama. 40-38, Kentucky leading. Avery Johnson, head coach of the Tide, Wired. Let's listen into some of his first half comments.
Hey, help him! Run! Run! Get up! Get up! Hey! Hey, get up! On that last driving kick, that was some great carryover from practice. But that was excellent. Probably one of the best ones of the year. Now you're capable of doing it.
Trying to stay positive, pump up his team, lead them to a win over Kentucky here in Tuscaloosa. And whatever he said to Tevin Mack, man, is it working today?
Tevin Mack made 6 3-point shots in that first half. He was 6 of 6, had 20 points. 7 made threes for Alabama of their 15 field goals. But Tevin Mack was just on fire. Catch and shoot, putting it on the deck in transition. He was ready to shoot every time the leather hit his hands. And he was absolutely magnificent. And for Kentucky, I thought Ashton Hagen set a real tone with his defense. He had 8 points in the first half. Reed Travis had 10. But the shot chart's so interesting to see. All of Kentucky's points have been either off of essentially layups or free throws. And Alabama has been getting the ball to the rim at times, but then Tevin Mack to the three-point line.
And he's made 6 of the 7 threes the Tide had in the first half. A game that had 5 ties and 9 lead changes.
P.J. Washington with an illegal screen, but it's primarily because Alabama did a great job of selling it. If they didn't sell that call, there's no way that it would have been called. The referee never would have seen it but for the action of the offense in selling the call.
Lewis turns the corner, but again misses a layup. Twice today, he's had a great drive to get to the rim, but hasn't been able to finish.
He keeps kind of going wide with it instead of just going straight to the rim and extending. It's like he's putting a little extra frosting on it.
How about a 3? Alabama back on top.
Oh, that was clean and easy. Go underneath on him, and he's going to pull the trigger. When he's in the game, Alabama functions much better because of his ball handling and passing.
We mentioned it in the first half. The second youngest player in Division I won't turn 18 until April. Needed 1 course in the summer to graduate high school early. Once he completed that course, he reclassified, he committed to Alabama. He didn't join the team until late August. He missed all of the summer workouts because he was still completing his high school responsibilities.
And he also missed all the nutrition and all the weight training and all that. So he's still in a lot of ways a high school player and maturing into a darn good college player. But I mean, who knows a world without Wikipedia? I mean, you can check Wikipedia to find out whether you had Wikipedia. But that's pretty impressive. He is a young basketball player, but mature beyond his years. What a pass!
Dazon Ingram with a beautiful feed.
Ingram as a secondary ball handler and not having to do all the ball handling when Lewis has been on the bench is a much better player.
Higgins to Travis inside. Bothered enough by Hall that he couldn't finish.
And that's the value of Dante Hall near the bucket. He never takes a play off, Dante Hall. It's amazing how hard he plays.
Numbers now for Kentucky. Hero, offensive foul.
And guess who? Herbert Jones, one of the best defenders in the country, the best on-ball defender on this Alabama squad. Reads the play, just waiting right there in order to absorb it. Led the team last year with 23 charges. That is his 15th charge drawn on this season. That is a ton. And that's a lot of hitting the deck. He's had a bad wrist because it's really sore just because he keeps hitting the deck time after time. But those are the kind of injuries coaches love because he's putting his body on the line for his team on the defensive end.
Ingram knocks down a 3 and Alabama extends the lead.
Dazon Ingram tired of it just being the Tevin Mack show from deep.
This is the largest lead of the game for either team. Quickly will cut it in half, cut the deficit in half with a 3.
Well, Emmanuel Quickly looks like he is not thinking anymore. He is just playing. I think when Ashton Hagans took over, he started trying to overthink some things. And he's a musician. And right now, he's just out there playing jazz. He's just playing. And he's a better player when he does.
Those around the program feel the roles have been solidified a little bit too. Quade Green transferred out of the program. He'll go to Washington next year as Hall misses the jumper.
Did you like that jazz analogy?
I did. It was very smooth. Quickly in the corner, can't get the shot off. Good recovery there by Jones to get out on him.
What a defender Herbert Jones is. It's almost like he's never late on things.
Hagans finds Hero. Lewis for 3. Boy, he was about ready to get noisy here at Coleman Coliseum had that shot gone down. Instead, a block at the other end called on Jones. For the 6th straight year, ESPN's megacast of the College Football Playoff National Championship game will have you covered from every platform, TV, radio, digital. You name it, you can find it. Coverage begins Monday at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, and it's also available on the ESPN app.
This is actually the first time for the College Football Playoff National Championship game that I will not be in the megacast.
Yes, I know.
And I think ratings may plummet.
May. As you often tell me, give America what it wants.
Well, America says that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason I've been on that, and it's tied to cash.
Kentucky back within 1.
I hope I didn't give anything away when Wall Street finds out that I'm not on the megacast.
You think the megacast stock is going to be a little bumpy over the next 2 days?
Huge sell-off on Monday morning when Asia opens early.
Kentucky now has been to the free throw line 11 times today. Alabama's only been there 3 times. Alabama, though, with a 1-point lead. They've made 9 threes in the game to just 3 threes for Kentucky.
Boy, it's great to see. Alabama is getting better and better. And this is a program with a really proud history. Back to when Wimp Sanderson was coaching here, C.M. Newton before him. And there have been so many great players and outstanding teams. And I think this team's ready to take off again.
Tough shot by Mack. And Kentucky ball. Good class coming in for Avery Johnson next year, ranked top 15. Look at Hero, and as you said last week, he is not just a standstill shooter.
No, he ran the floor, got down the floor, and that makes him that much more dangerous. And he's not just going to catch it to shoot, he's going to catch it and look to drive. Got a switch here.
Inside, Galen Smith misses the jump hook. Boy, he had good position, too.
Good position, able to shoot over P.J. Washington. Got to make these.
Hagans can't finish.
Boy, Smith really challenging that shot.
Lewis off to Jones.
Boy, that's a great job by Alabama of turning defense into offense. Not just content to grab that defensive rebound after the shot block attempt, but taking it the other way and really putting pressure on the transition defense of Kentucky and making those big guys run.
And a foul away from the ball.
Well, Herbert Jones has really done the job on the defensive end, taking charges there on the catch. But here, getting it done in transition, the pass ahead, and throwing it down. Herbert Jones.
1-point lead, Alabama. Really good game today against Kentucky. Another basketball situation, an eligibility situation affecting a young woman who is a high school senior, one of the top high school seniors in the country. Maori Davenport out of Troy, Alabama, plays at Charles Henderson High, has been ruled ineligible for her senior season. Jay, tell us why and what's going on in his story.
Well, it's really a travesty. She was ruled ineligible by the Alabama High School Athletic Association, and it's not just that. It was the sole decision of the executive director, Steve Savarese. And it was all over a check that she received from USA Basketball. She played on the USA Basketball U18 international team. They played in Mexico City, won a gold medal, played for her country. All the players get a stipend check. It was $850 and change. And USA Basketball always checks with each high school association, but there are only a couple of high school players on the team. It slipped through the cracks. It was an administrative error, a clerical error. And she received the check, and then the high school association saying, nope, your amateur status is now gone. And as soon as USA Basketball found the error, they notified the high school. The athletic association, the Alabama Athletic Association, was notified, and she sent the money back. No big deal, right? Not for the Alabama High School Athletic Association. I mean, there is one person standing in the way, and that's the executive director, Steve Savarese, and he refuses to rescind this ruling. Rulings in the past have been rescinded, although there has never been anything like this in the history of the Alabama Athletic Association. They've never had a case like this. Steve Savarese admitted that to me when I spoke to him on Friday. They've never had a case anywhere near like this. But in other eligibility cases, they have rescinded rulings that they've made, and they need to rescind this one. This is a travesty, and it is wrong. Maori Davenport did absolutely nothing wrong. She should be allowed to play.
Again, as you said, always, USA Basketball reaches out to the high school association and says, here is the amount of the stipend check. Does this fall within your boundaries? But it was missed. The phone call was not made. Otherwise, this would have been avoided. The clerical mistake had nothing to do with Maori Davenport herself.
Nothing at all. And there's no justification for this. This isn't a rules, like something that's likely to happen again or something that was intentional. It was just a simple administrative clerical error. USA Basketball feels horrible about it. They would do anything they could to change this for Maori Davenport. And in fact, the president of USA Basketball, Jim Tooley, went to her appeal hearing here in Alabama. That's how badly they feel about this.
And among those who have chimed in on social media, and if you look for it, you're not going to have to look very hard to find it. Chris Paul has tweeted about it. C. Vivian Stringer has tweeted about it. The WNBA has come to the defense of Maori Davenport.
Every thinking person and organization is against this ruling made by the Alabama High School Athletic Association, and notably Steve Savarese. Mr. Savarese, you are wrong. You need to change this ruling and do it now.
They continue to trade buckets here at Coleman Coliseum as Petty turns it over. Now a chance for Kentucky to regain the lead, and Quickly will lay it in and do just that.
Boy, how good has Emmanuel Quickly been in this game? And after the last time out, Kentucky has come out with renewed vigor, and they've done it in part on the defensive end, getting a couple of turnovers, and they've really run their offense very well. That little back screen to get Keldon Johnson in the low post.
Good steal there by Washington.
Now going with Quickly and Hagans on the floor. That gives them a lot of quickness.
Richards got a fingertip on it, but it belongs to Alabama. And Travis and Hero back into the game, and now for the Cats, Quickly and Richards will sit down. So John Calipari can go with Hagans at the point, Quickly at the point, or both of them in there together.
Well, he's going with the smaller lineup right now. And that smaller lineup, he's got to get out and guard that three-point line and really be able to guard the ball a little bit better. So right now, Reed Travis and P.J. Washington, can really play, even though he's 6'9", can play a wing position. But he's really matching up with Alabama right now.
Boy, Hagans doing a great job fighting through screens to stay with Lewis.
All that back screen, rescreen action, but Lewis stuck with it. That was a terrific play by the 17-year-old freshman, Kyra Lewis Jr. Well, if he keeps playing like that, they're not going to call him Junior anymore.
Alabama back on top. What a way to start conference play this would be for the Crimson Tide if they could end their 10-game losing streak to Kentucky.
Well, after the first 9 or 10 minutes, Alabama's done a much better job on the glass.
Lewis, not there. Look at the rebound by Norris. Petty is wide open, has it knocked away, fights to get it back, and is fouled.
Well, that's where John Petty made a really good move, but needs to get a little bit stronger. That's where some strength would help him finish that play once he got the ball into the paint. But you know what? When you got hair like that, I am not complaining about anything.
That's right.
That's magnificent.
You can let a couple other things slide in your life.
That's a national treasure is what that is. Good cross screen down low by Norris to get Dante Hall into low post.
Hall draws the double team. Petty's open for three.
Boy, got away with one. I don't think you want to double team off John Petty because he's such a good three-point shooter.
Travis in transition. Can't finish at the rim.
John Petty, more than just magnificent hair with the defense.
And the lay-in at the other end. And they're getting on their feet here at Coleman Coliseum. The lead is 3. Johnson, no.
Again, trying to isolate Keldon Johnson in the low post, just couldn't finish it. Now this is where the mature teams, they get a defensive stop, they come down and score, especially at home.
Reese for 3.
That was a good look, a little pick and pop, and Alex Reese can really shoot the ball.
So can this guy. Hero a little bit strong, long shot, long rebound.
Oh, dodged one there. He can't leave him open in transition.
And the baseline jumper for E.J. Montgomery, the freshman out of Fort Pierce, Florida.
It seems like every time we talk to John Calipari, one of the things he mentions is I got to get E.J. Montgomery more minutes. He just impacts the game in so many different ways. But you don't want to. He doesn't want to put 4 big guys out there.
Timeout on the floor as we near the midway point of the second half in what continues to be a great game.
Well, John Petty coming off a game in which he had 6 points and 8 rebounds in a road win against Stephen F. Austin's, and really good sequence in the last few for John Petty Jr.
Chris Cotter in studio. Great game in Columbus. Look at Kyle Ahrens crashing the board, picking it up and finishing for Michigan State. The lead is now 86-77. It's gone final. Sparty wins. Dan?
All right, Chris, thank you. If possible, is Michigan State kind of being under-publicized right now? I mean, they're top 10. They're Michigan State. They're playing well. They're deep. They're older. This is a really good team.
They are being under-publicized. Beat Northwestern the other night. Joshua Langford didn't play. You know, I wasn't able to watch, nor were you, the Ohio State game, obviously, because of this. But I don't know whether Joshua Langford played in that. He was listed as doubtful for the game. But Xavier Tillman has improved greatly. They've got a lot of experience back. I don't think they're 3 or 4 better point guards in the country than Cassius Winston.
Yeah.
Certainly from the passing and handling standpoint, not the best defender you've ever met, but he's one heck of a player. I still think Michigan is the best team in the Big Ten.
A couple of great games between those two programs this year. Travis trying to get away from Dante Hall. These two have been hounding each other all day.
Travis just got away with an offensive foul.
And we have a held ball situation, and the arrow will give it to Alabama.
Let me ask you a ruling question here. Would you prefer alternating possession on a play like that, or do you think the defense should get any tied up ball? Because that was a heck of a defensive play there by Reese. And you got to give Dante Hall credit, because that shot was changed by Hall, and that allowed Reese to get his hand on the ball.
Right. The third option, of course, is you could jump it off. But
yeah, that'll never happen again. They're never going to give the referees the opportunity to throw it up because they were so bad at it before.
Montgomery misses the jumper.
And it's not their fault. These guys are bigger. It's just harder. It's harder to have a real jump ball anymore.
Would you like to reward the defense all the time and make that an automatic defensive ball?
I think the defense should always get it, but great play by Dazon Ingram. The lefty got to the rim and finished.
You know, one thing we haven't talked about is Alabama's depth. They got 10 good players, and Avery Johnson uses all of them.
Well, they're long and they're athletic, especially at the wing spot. And the other thing we haven't talked about is there's the offensive foul. The referees missed it on the last one. I think they knew that and got it on this one. But one thing we need to mention, too, is that Kentucky's done a pretty darn good job in the second half on Tevin Mack. He has not had the same kind of impact in the second half as he did on the first.
And I think they're going to take a look at this play by Travis to see if it warrants anything more than a common foul.
It just looked like a normal discard, but we were on the other side of the floor.
This official's review is brought to you by Schaefer Eisner, providing Alabama with the best vision care.
Take a look at Reed Travis right here, and we'll keep an eye on him. After he sets the screen, he ducks in, goes right into the post, and watch that arm. Yeah, there's nothing there. That was actually faked.
Yeah, Hall actually sold it a little bit.
I don't think they take the foul away.
And Chuck Jones just coming over and saying possible flagrant above the neck.
Well, they're not going to find that.
Right. That's what they're having to look at. But as you say, they won't find it.
Yeah, I mean, I still think it was a foul just because that arm was extended. When you extend that arm, you can have your arms out but elbows bent. So there's no question that was a foul. But, I mean, I thought, we saw Dante Hall give a little bit extra there. But there should be no flagrant here.
And Doug Shows is letting the Kentucky bench know that. Chuck Jones mouthing to us comment. We appreciate the help from the officials as always. And you can see John Calipari saying he thinks Dante Hall sold it a little bit.
Well, he did sell it. What he's asking for, isn't that going to be a foul on the flop and all that stuff? I mean, I would love to see that.
Personal foul, no flagrant. Doug Shows confirms, and we're back to basketball.
And just to be clear, the call was correct.
Yes.
Because Reed Travis got that arm out and extended it. So in posting up, you can have your arms out, but the elbows have to be bent. So arms up and elbows bent. You can't extend and get into the defense that way, or it's going to be called a foul every time.
Third on Travis. He sits down, and Nick Richards back into the game for Kentucky. Washington nearly got a hand on that pass.
A good job by Nick Richards to guard that duck in by Dante Hall. Alabama trying to go with a little high-low action.
Ingram can't get a shot off. Shot clock's at 5.
Higgins wouldn't let it back out.
Reese has to force it up. Rebound Mack. Got it.
Well, that's one way to get yourself back into the scoring mode. 20 points in the first half. That's his first bucket of the second. And Tevin Mack had to work for that one.
Higgins with a nice look to Washington, who had a mid-range jumper and instead dribbled it into traffic off to Hero, who misses a 12-footer.
Well, nice job by Alabama to force the tough two. Didn't let him turn the corner.
Shovel pass Mack to Hall, and a couple of free throws coming.
Alabama has been the aggressor of late. And the aggressor's not only going to have more success, but shoot more free throws. And that came off awfully hard and at a low trajectory. And Tevin Mack not only able only to catch it, but to catch it and finish it over the top. Boy, anytime a scorer, doesn't matter how, when you see the ball go through the net, you feel a heck of a lot better. And I wouldn't be surprised to see a more aggressive Tevin Mack down this last 8:15 of regulation than we saw the first, in 11:45 of the second half.
Season high 22 now for Mack after that bucket.
Did I get the math right
there?
Yeah,
you did very, very well.
My knuckle abacus was really effective there. Took my socks off.
Well, good thing you stretched before the game.
That's what the athletes do, Dan.
Lead is 6. Higgins jump stop. Hall with another rebound.
Boy, how about challenging that shot and getting the rebound by Dante Hall? That was a big-time play.
And Washington called for the foul at the other end.
Well, you just don't see this very often. Athletes get ready to perform. And I prepared myself for an athletic contest. Dan Shulman eating popcorn.
What a gamer.
Rush him! Contain! No fouls! Come on, D! Come on, D!
Yeah. But the only way we can get stops and run, we need everybody in there rebounding. And it's not just rebounds, it's loose balls. What did I tell you? If you didn't have it, you thought you had it, though? I'm good with that. I'm good with that.
Coach is good with that. Well, that rebounding battle he was talking about, it wasn't going so well early for Alabama, but man, is it ever right now.
Well, and that's because they're getting all 5 guys going to the defensive glass. On offensive rebounding, the coach decides how many to send. You may send your 2 big guys to the offensive glass, maybe 2 big guys in a wing. If you're Michigan State, you send 4 guys. But everybody has to go to the defensive glass. There is no choice there. All 5 guys have to rebound. And thus far in the game, Alabama has not only been competitive, they're winning the rebounding battle after being down, they were down 10 early in the first 14 minutes of the ball game.
Yep.
And since then, they've out-rebounded this Kentucky team by 11 or 12, I think. Boy, what a game Herbert Jones has had. And that's his 10th point. He's got 4 rebounds, 6 assists in just 19 minutes of playing time, 4 of 4 from the floor, and a couple charges.
Jay, it's a 7-0 run for Alabama. This is the largest lead of the game for either team. Richards fouled inside. Sports Center tonight after Clemson-Duke. As Zubin Mehenti will break down the Colts and Texans. The wild card game coming up later today. Post-game reaction from Cameron and a recap of Mavs Sixers. The first meeting between Joel Embiid and Luka Doncic. You like watching Luka play basketball?
He is outstanding.
Yeah.
Just a phenomenal talent and an experienced player. That last play, Dante Hall made a defensive mistake. He doesn't make many of those. He kind of sold out on the baseline side instead of staying between Nick Richards and the basket, making Richards make a post move, catch it off the lane, and that caused Herbert Jones to have to come over and help, and Jones picked up the foul. Dante Hall is such a good shot blocker, so long and athletic. And if he forces Nick Richards off the lane, he'll make him make a move.
Boy, great anticipation by Higgins. And Washington fouled at the other end. What an incredible job on that pick and roll to come up with a steal.
Ashton Higgins is just special on the defensive end. Not only is he long-armed and athletic, does a great job on the ball, but he anticipates and never gives up on a play. He got picked off on that, and instead of just cracking back and taking the screener away from the roll, he went back, took the ball away.
Travis coming on back in for Kentucky now as Richards will sit down. And last few games, John Calipari, he's used his bench here and there, but he has really relied on his 5 starters. We talked about the roles kind of crystallizing a little bit recently. It's been this group that we have seen a lot of together for Kentucky.
Yeah, P.J. Washington's a player that I think needs to be more aggressive on the offensive end for Kentucky. I mean, he's the type of guy, he can get you 25 in a game, but it seems like he either gets you 25 or 6. Another steal by Higgins. He's so disruptive.
How many guys can you think of at the college level in the time you've covered the sport who can be that disruptive at the point guard spot?
There have been a lot. I mean, geez, just at Kentucky, Rajon Rondo was one of the better on-ball defenders I can remember. Played for Tubby Smith years ago, but I mean, this kid's special. I mean, he is absolutely special on the defensive end, and he's transferring that to being a better offensive player.
Wide open. Travis misses the elbow jumper.
Good rebound by Mack. So when your wings go in and rebound like that.
And now Higgins called for the foul. A little swipe at the ball after the fact.
Nothing wrong with that. It's kind of like when there's a tie-up. There's nothing in the rule book says you got to let go first.
And Higgins may not have liked that right forearm from Ingram. And some words exchanged, but nothing serious.
No, that's just good hard basketball. Nothing wrong with that. Good job by the officials to get in there, but that's just competitiveness. Nothing wrong with it.
So Kentucky over the limit, and Ingram at the line for 1 and 1.
Dazon Ingram has been a real barometer for this Alabama team. He plays well. Generally, Alabama wins. He was really good, I thought, against Stephen F. Austin. You got to give Alabama a lot of credit for going to Nacogdoches and playing that game. That is a difficult place to play, and coming away with a win.
Went to UCF also. They scheduled 4 mid-majors who were picked to win their conference this year. Plus they had a hard-fought win over Arizona. They beat Penn State. They beat Wichita State. Pretty interesting non-conference schedule.
Well, Stephen F. Austin has a guard named Shannon Bogues, and man, that dude can play. He is really good. And Johnson fouled by Herbert Jones. I mentioned Shannon Bogues or Stephen F. Austin. There's another guard I watched recently, and I've seen him play before, but watched him play the other night against St. Mary's, and that's Frankie Ferrari of San Francisco. I mean, that guy reminds you of Steve Nash. I've not seen a better guard passing ahead on the break than Frankie Ferrari. He's really good.
And as good a name as there is in the game.
Exactly.
So, that is the 4th foul committed by Jones as he goes to the bench for Alabama. Norris back into the game for the tie. Knocked away. Ingram with the hustle. Ball still loose, but eventually it winds up in Kentucky's hands, and Washington slams it home.
Boy, John Calipari wanted a foul there, but what a play by Ashton Hagans. Gets on the floor, able to corral the ball, get it out, the ball movement to get it underneath. That was a big-time play, especially to make that play on the road.
And a travel now on Mack gives it back to the Cats.
What a play by Hagans. Alabama was first to the floor here. First it was Ingram, and Hagans bending at the waist, but Hagans gets it, almost gets up, which would have been a walk. Well, that was a big-time play, and what a turnaround for Kentucky.
Getting louder and louder here to Coleman. Missed jumper, and the rebound to Mack.
So I don't think Alabama minded seeing Ashton Hagans pull up for a short jumper there.
Lewis.
Oh.
Wow. Big time. 17 years old, folks.
Imagine how good he's going to be when he's 18. He stopped on a dime.
Hero looking for help. And the floater won't go down for Washington. Alabama ball. Hagans called for the reach-in foul. His second.
What a response by Alabama after that dunk by P.J. Washington. Now, that was a momentum changer. Off the ball screen up top. Look at that. Stop and step back. That was a big-time play by Kyra Lewis Jr. Man.
With Hagans on him, too, and all the disruption we had seen from Hagans recently. Lewis now at the line. Also made some big free throws late in close games for Alabama this year.
And what's really impressive, I mean, his play on the floor is incredibly impressive, but even more impressive, I should say, about Kyra Lewis is how hard he works. Like he leads Alabama in extra shots after practice. And when you've got a freshman doing that, I mean, that's a big factor in taking your program to the next level.
Pretty loud considering the students aren't here, huh?
What? Got away with a walk.
Travis from Washington.
That was an important answer by Kentucky.
First bucket for Travis since the midway point of the first half.
This is a real maturity test for Alabama. 8-point lead with the ball. Just under 4.5 to go in regulation.
Lewis, not this time.
You know, if that had gone down, the roof would have blown off this place, but you certainly don't want to settle. Wasn't a bad shot, but you don't want to settle.
And Washington fouled by Hall at the other end.
Now, I'm not sure that Kyra Lewis's teammates were ready for that shot. And the rebound allowed Kentucky to get out quickly. It wasn't a classic fast break, but they were able to get down court before Alabama could really set its defense. And those are the kind of things that, you know, when you got an 8-point lead in the ball, you want to make sure you get the best possible shot. You know, Dan, you heard Avery Johnson talk about keeping Kentucky out of transition. And one of the ways you keep a transition team out of transition is by running really good offense, getting a good shot, making them take it out of the net.
One of two for Washington.
For the most part in the second half, Alabama's kept Kentucky off the free throw line.
And all the battles that Avery Johnson said they needed to win have gone in their favor here in the second half.
Right now, the smaller lineup, a little 1-2-2 3/4 court pressure to slow the advance. A little bit of a smaller lineup right now for Kentucky. But both Quickly and Higgins out on the floor, along with Keldon Johnson, then the two starting bigs.
Seven to shoot. Ingram going to make a play and draws the foul.
Ingram with his strength going right in the chest of Emmanuel Quickly.
3:44 to go. 7-point lead, Bama.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by 5 Hour Energy Shots. Get back to 100%.
Chris Cotter and the Fonz in studio. East Carolina trying to hand it to Cincinnati today.
They are. Their three-point defense has been outstanding, holding Cincinnati to 1 of 13 from three.
Sean Williams with the bucket there. The lead is 4 for the Pirates. Coming up next on ESPN2, it's Florida State trying to hand Virginia their first loss of the season. That's coming up at the top of the hour. Dan, Jay?
Yeah, don't look now. Virginia's undefeated, ranked in the top 5. A conference, really the first big weekend for conference play for the most part in college basketball. We've got Kentucky and Alabama. The Wildcats have won the last 10 in a row against the Crimson Tide. Nobody wearing an Alabama jersey today has ever beaten Kentucky. They're 3:44 away with a 7-point lead.
Well, Kentucky is not shooting the ball well in this second half. After shooting 50% in the first half, Kentucky 7 of 24 in the second half. That's under 30%. And Alabama's defense has been much tougher, and Kentucky has not finished near as many plays. And the question is, when you need a bucket, who do you go to? Is there a guy you can put the ball in his hands in blue where he can go get you a basket? Otherwise, you have to manufacture with 5 guys.
Tyler Hero, who can be that guy, has just checked back into the game for Kentucky. He's got 9 points today, 3 for 9 from the field, 1 for 3 from three-point range. Coming off a big game against Louisville last week.
Well, that game he had against Louisville wasn't, as you mentioned before, it wasn't just the offensive end. He played excellent defense.
Back to 9. Travis lines up a three-pointer. How about that?
Don't like that shot at all. I would have rather seen the ball go into the hands of Keldon Johnson and let him make a decision. Reed Travis firing up a 3. You can get that anytime you want.
He's taken them on occasion this year now, 5 for 14 on the season. Lewis, no. Oh, yes!
Ashton Higgins gambled for a steal. And Kyra Lewis took advantage of it. And when you come over to block that shot, that leaves the offensive glass open. Hall taking advantage of that.
Great shot fake by Hero. Can't make the 3.
Kentucky cannot buy one. Hero's not going to get a more open shot than that.
And Alabama, Jay, is now +7 in the rebounding battle.
One of the reasons is because they force so many misses. I mean, the defense is going to get more rebounds generally. I mean, Kentucky has missed absolutely everything in this second half.
Ingram trying to back down Johnson. Ball still loose and now belongs to the Cats on a shot clock violation.
Well, if it hadn't been that, it would have been a walk. Ingram didn't have it when he backed him down. Just pull it back out, reverse the ball. I think that's what Avery Johnson's saying right now. We don't need. There's a Hero on the other team, Tyler Hero. Don't need one on this one, just play. Good pass.
Johnson with a much needed 3.
See, there's where the ball's got to go. I mean, Keldon Johnson is your best player. Let him touch the ball.
2:15 to go. Alabama up by 8.
When Zion and RJ run the floor, it's double the freshmen, double the fun. Oh my.
Duke and Clemson at Cameron Indoor Stadium tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern, right here on ESPN. The Saturday Showcase presented by 5 Hour Energy. non-conference play is great. You have some big-time matchups, some matchups you don't normally see, but there's just something a little bit extra special when they get into the league.
Well, everybody knows one another, so scouting reports aren't quite as big of a deal because you already know it. And Clemson's got Marquise Reed, Elijah Thomas, who transferred in from Texas A&M. They are very capable under Brad Brownell, but they're going to have their hands full with R.J. Barrett, Zion Williamson, Cam Reddish. That's a very talented team Duke has. When they shoot the ball, who beats them? Can't pick up your dribble there.
And Alabama gets out of trouble. 2-on-1. Lewis shovel pass. And Hall lost it out of bounds.
Lewis needed to take that himself. Just go right to the rim and force him to block it. But he was going to pass that all the way. I mean, he's going against Reed Travis, not known as a great shot blocker. Take that thing all the way to the rim. Because if you miss it, Dante Hall's right there.
Johnson in the corner. Misses the three. Boy, would that have been a big bucket for Big Blue.
Well, it would have been a big bucket, but the problem is, like right now, Kentucky's not putting any pressure on Alabama's defense. I mean, that was a challenge three. Shot fake, take it to the rim. I mean, get to the rim and put some pressure on the rim. And then if you kick it out, you got a wide open shot.
You know, the other remarkable number, you mentioned it earlier, Kentucky has rebounded at the offensive end 41% of their missed shots this year. It's 14% today. Ingram! And that rolls off the rim. No score, but 30 more seconds do come off the clock. Washington, though, makes it a 6-point game.
Boy, Ingram on that layup attempt went back to the left hand. Needed to use his right there, but he is left hand dominant. See how that one layup in transition kind of changes the feel of this thing? You just don't want to settle for 3-point shots. You don't want to turn down an open one, but you don't want to settle. And after the miss by Ingram, Kentucky taking it the other way in transition. And I'll tell you what, the attack in transition of Ashton Hagans, his eyes are always up. He sees everything. He doesn't go 1,000 miles an hour. He plays with pace. That kid is really good.
If Alabama can hang on and win the game, it would be their first win in 11 tries against Kentucky. They last beat them January the 22nd, 2013. And again, I think that bottom number is really impressive. When you go 11-10 against ranked teams, when in general your team is not ranked, you're getting your guys to play their best against the best.
Now, Avery Johnson has not done a good job at Alabama. He's done a great job, and it's getting better and better. I mean, this program is on the upswing. And watching him in practice yesterday, and I've seen him before, but not extensively. And watching him in practice, he's got a great command of his team. He's got a fantastic demeanor. And I think you could tell, there with the associate head coach John Pelfrey, one of the unforgettables, wore number 34 at Kentucky, has his number retired in Rupp Arena. It is a really good coaching staff, and we give the lion's share of the credit to Avery Johnson for the job that he's done. He's absolutely terrific.
Yeah, good vibe around this program right now. That vibe will get even better if they can beat Kentucky today. Coach Pelfrey along with Avery Johnson. 6-point lead. Can Alabama withstand the pressure that Kentucky's been bringing the last couple of minutes?
Have to get the ball into the hands of Kyra Lewis. Let him bring it up, even though it's going to be against Ashton Hagans, one hellacious defender.
Petty will get it over. Petty's going to the rim.
What a huge play by John Petty.
Travis called for the travel.
Right now, after that turnover, this is about passing and catching for Alabama. 2 feet on the floor. And make sure you make a good pass and you're strong with it.
Lewis will run it down. And it's out of bounds. Back to Kentucky. Hagans forces another turnover. Crowd wanted a foul.
They're going to check and see who the ball went off of. This has nothing to do with whether there was a foul. There was clearly contact here. I mean, I don't know. If that were in the middle of the floor, would that have been called a foul? Probably. But in this situation, honestly, I don't I don't mind the little bit of contact. There wasn't enough in my judgment to call a foul there, especially late in the game. And I know people say, well, you don't call it any differently. Yes, you do. At least I think you do.
And again, as you said, what they're looking at has nothing to do with the foul. In the last 2 minutes, you can see who it went out of bounds off of. Didn't look like Higgins touched the ball at all. It should be Kentucky ball.
And Doug Schaus was right there.
Yeah, off the foot of
Lewis.
Lewis.
Went right off his foot. So this is going to be Kentucky basketball. And Kentucky right now with 52.2 seconds and down 8 points. They don't have to. It seems like they got to have a three. They don't have to have a three. They need to get the ball to the rim. And if you can collapse the defense, kick it out for a three, great. But you need to get a score to extend this game and give Alabama a chance in a full court situation to cough the ball up again.
Well, if you're looking for more basketball today and tonight, as we mentioned, a conference play is fully underway. How about these games? ESPN2, Florida State and Virginia in a top 10 matchup. Kansas at Iowa State. Will there be some Hilton magic later on today? And then tonight, Clemson at Duke. I think we got the rest of our day planned.
Well, and Iowa State's really good. And going up against the top 5 Kansas team at home, Iowa State's healthy now. Steve Prohm's got a really, really good basketball team. Nick Weiler-Dabb's a really good player. They're legit.
They got Lindell Wigginton back, right? After missing the early part of the season.
They're legit. Yep.
Ingram will be on Higgins.
One thing Alabama does not want to do, they do not want to foul.
Washington with a three, around and out. Travis the rebound. Hero for three, got it. 5-point game.
Boy, huge play off the offensive rebound by Reed Travis to have the presence of mind to look back out to Tyler Hero. And rebounding has been such a good thing for Alabama. They have kept Kentucky off the offensive glass, but they give up this one. All 5 guys are inside the paint. That is the perfect recipe for passing the ball out after an offensive board and getting a wide open three. And in fact, Lewis did a nice job of closing out. But man, that's a heck of a shot dribbling away from. That's like a quarterback throwing across his body for Tyler Hero. That was a great play. And now we talked about it before, passing and catching. And we've seen Alabama a little bit shaky in a full court situation.
Right now, if you're an Alabama fan, it's got to feel like that clock is crawling. Like it's just not getting anywhere.
It's like a sundial.
Yeah, it really is. And it's still a lot of time, and we've seen the pressure from Kentucky. Just a 2-possession game. Got to be tough with the ball.
You have to be catch and be strong with it. But thus far, Kentucky's been pretty smart about getting in a trap and not fouling.
Boy, and at the time when John Petty made that great play to get the ball over, and then he just bowled his way to the rim and laid it in, it looked like that might be enough to make it a moot point and to get Alabama a win. But Kentucky's not giving an inch right now.
Alabama can run the baseline. They've got a couple timeouts left. So 39.9 left in regulation. 5-point lead. 2-possession game. So right now, this is all about being strong with it. Ball security.
Higgins is on Lewis. He keeps putting his left hand on Lewis's hip. Lewis keeps trying to knock it away. Higgins not giving Lewis any room at all, and Alabama is forced to take another timeout.
John Calipari has a defender on the ball trying to take away vision, and Lewis was starting near half court to give himself some room. That may be a little bit too far.
5-point lead. Great first half for Tevin Mack. Great all-round game today for Herbert Jones.
Herbert Jones leads Alabama in steals and charges taken. He's taken a couple in this one, but he's been fantastic. Played about 20 minutes, gave his body up, taking a couple charges. He picked up 4 fouls through the course of the game, but there is nothing to complain about with the great play of Herbert Jones. He's been a glue guy for Alabama and helped put Alabama in this position of having a great opportunity with under 40 seconds in regulation to win a game against number 13 Kentucky. But there's a long way to go before this one's over.
So Alabama will try to inbound the ball again. The Tide still have 1 timeout. And again, of course, it's Higgins right in the back pocket of Lewis, not wanting to let the point guard touch the ball for Alabama.
Alex Reese taking the ball out. He can still run the baseline.
Trying to run Lewis around a couple of screens to get him open. They get the ball into him. He fumbles it out of bounds, and it belongs to the Wildcats.
Boy, caught it right in the coffin corner. Now it looks like they're going to look at this one again. But that ball went out of bounds in the direction that Lewis was headed. I don't think anybody touched that. I think Ashton Hagans was reaching around him, but I don't think he got the ball at all. He's got to be stronger with it than that. There's nowhere you have to worry about going.
Well, is there a slap from behind on the ball right
there? Was
there?
A slap from behind, but I don't think he got it. He got his arm.
He got the arm.
Yeah, but that ball went off of his left hand.
Yeah.
It went off of Kyra Lewis's left hand. This is going to be Kentucky ball. Like, they can't examine and say, oh boy, we missed a foul call. So
right.
what?
Right.
You know, it's who it went on, and you know that. It's who it went off of.
Well, I'll tell you, if Bill Raftery were sitting with us right now, he'd say, boy, that Hagans is a nudge.
He's a nudge.
Alabama is just in hang-on mode right now with a lot of time left in this game. And the ball potentially about to be awarded to Kentucky.
And this is, the SEC has what they call collaborative replay. So they have a command center. They're looking at the replay in their command center. I think it's called a command center. Maybe it's called a closet. I have no idea what it's called.
In Birmingham, right?
I think so. That's where the league office is. But it's not just the officials. The officials have the final say. The officials on the floor have the final say. But the only thing that drives me crazy about this, it just takes too long. You want them to get it right, but I mean, holy cow, this takes forever.
Yeah, it definitely went off the left hand of Lewis, and it is going to be Kentucky ball. And again, just to clarify what Jay said, they can't go to the monitor and say, oh, well, he got fouled, so we'll give the ball to Alabama. You can't look at that. It's just who was the last one to touch it, and Lewis was the last one to touch it.
Yeah, you don't want to get into the replay thing, but you know, when everybody says they want to get it right, you almost say, well, then why not go back and look at the foul if you want to get it right? You know, that's the whole point about it taking too long. It takes too long.
Hero inbounds it to Hagans. And Hagans looking for a quick two. He'll get it. One possession game. Now Jones and Ingram combine to get it over. Can they get the ball to Lewis? It'll be Ingram fouled by Washington, and he'll go to the free throw line for two.
Ingram, a 70% free throw shooter coming into this game. And now, because Alabama's had some issues handling the ball against full court pressure and has coughed it up a few times, we got a one possession game here, and these free throws are gigantic right now for Alabama.
He's 4 for 4 today.
Gutsy, didn't touch anything.
Always amazing how quickly a loud building can get quiet when one of their own is at the line late in a close game.
Big. Impressive.
Still don't need a three, but need a bucket, and they'll get it from Hagans to again make it a one possession game. And John Calipari will use his last timeout.
Boy, what a smart play by Ashton Hagans. A little dribble handoff action. He refuses it. He's limping a little bit. Looks like he might have turned that left ankle. He was hopping around on the right foot.
We'll keep an eye on that. In the meantime, during the timeout, back to Chris Cotter in the studio.
Okay, Dan, Jay, just a reminder as to what's coming up next. NFL Countdown presented by Discover here on ESPN. If you want to see Florida State and Virginia, and why wouldn't you, go over to ESPN2. They're going to tip in about 6 minutes' time.
All right, Chris, thanks. Looking forward to that over on ESPN2. Avery Johnson hoping his team can hang on for the win, but Ashton Hagans is making everything difficult on the Tide right now.
Driving to his right, little dribble handoff action with Tyler Hero, and he just gets around it and keeps his dribble to get to the other side of the bucket. Probably got away with a little shuffle there, honestly. That was not a pivot as much as it was picking up his feet and shuffling them to the other side. But, boy, just a really good decision to get that two by Ashton Hagans, who's had another really good floor game.
They inbound it to Petty, and a look ahead to Ingram. And Ingram will dribble off a couple of seconds, almost lose it, and he does! Washington ahead of the pack will dunk it to make it a 1-point game.
All Ingram had to do was pick up his dribble, get fouled, and this game could have been over.
Wow.
Wow. I mean, just trying to dribble this thing out, probably took it too far in the beginning, but as he was falling down, just falling like it's a fumble in football. Call timeout. Holy cow, that is a huge mistake for Alabama.
The Tide hanging on for dear life right now in the last minute against Kentucky, as the Wildcats have gotten it all the way down to 1.
Well, it looked like Ingram was actually trying to call timeout. Maybe the official either didn't see it or didn't think he had possession in order to be able to call it. I saw him mouthing timeout in this replay. See him mouthing it there?
Yeah.
Or unless he's saying, somebody come get the ball.
And did he have possession of what he was saying it, or had it already been poked free? It's all academic now. 1-point game, 5 seconds left, and again, Alabama's got to get the ball in and to be strong with it.
P.J. Washington on the ball. Now it looks like he's gonna pick up a cutter. I like it better when he's on the ball, taking away vision.
And Petty is fouled. Boy, that pass, I mean, Petty had bounced it once. He didn't have full control, but they commit the foul, and Alabama's headed to the line. And you always like when the guy shooting the free throws heads down there with the body language that Petty was showing.
Well, one way you get better at end-of-game situations is being in them like this. And coaches can run these end-of-game situations all they want in practice. There is nothing that substitutes for being in these situations.
John Calipari pleading his case about something. Looks like Alabama will not put anybody in the lane right now. And we got 2 free throws coming for Petty, 74% on the season.
Avery Johnson has an NBA background. Well, now it's academic. I was going to say, if he makes them both, you got a foul. Now he's calling it off. There's going to be no fouls here.
No timeouts for either side.
And with 4.3 seconds left, you can get the ball up court all the way to the rim by dribbling it.
Norris is going to come in for Petty if Petty makes this free throw.
Yeah, because that'll stop the action, and Alabama will be able to set up a press.
2-point game.
See, if I'm Alabama, I put full court pressure on now.
Right now, nobody on the ball.
Yeah, I'm on the ball. I'm up there.
4.3, 2-point game. Higgins. Hero to win it. Alabama hangs on. And they beat Kentucky for the first time in 6 years. Welcome to conference play, folks. What a game this was here in Tuscaloosa, as the Crimson Tide survive and beat Kentucky 77-75. More great basketball coming your way over on ESPN2. Postseason NFL Countdown from Houston next here on ESPN. Jay Billis and our crew, I'm Dan Schulman. Thanks for watching, and so long from Tuscaloosa.